Greetings, my fellow firearms nerds. I am James Shahan, owner and instructor of Eagle Defense, which is a Sacramento-based CCW and BSIS licensed training facility based in Sacramento, California. A sexy bullet point would be I've been doing like private firearms instruction since 2008. That's just really when I got initially licensed. Really, I've been doing it fairly consistency with some breaks here and there since really about 2012, 2014. And I mostly focus on Northern California CCW and BSIS training. And we're going to be going over what you need to do to teach CCW classes in Northern California. And we're going to go over this from scratch as if you have zero prerequisites accomplished. Starting with the basic prerequisite, which is listed on the California DOJ website. That you could just do a Google search for California CCW instructor and this page will pop right up. We're going to scroll down here, look, blah, 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 right? All kinds of stuff. Qualifications, here's the big thing that messes a lot of people up, and this is what almost every video is based around, is the prerequisites. So right off the gate, the easiest way to do this is if you're already BSIS Firearms Instructor certified, which if you are, why the fuck are you watching this video? You probably already know this shit. Post isn't probably going to apply to anyone watching this video because this is law enforcement. If you're doing this, you're probably also law enforcement for a college. You're just not certified in any way for anything. This is also law enforcement, so don't trip on that. NRA. All right, so there's two basic options I'm going to share with you. One of them we're going to just call option 1, which is a CCW instructor only option, but it's very costly, but it's probably the easiest administratively to go through. You're going to have to take 3 courses through the NRA. You're going to have to, and you have to do this in this order. You have to go through NRA Basic Pistol Instructor, then you're going to have to go through Personal Protection inside the home, then you're going to have to go through Personal Protection outside the home, because as you can see, the prerequisite for instructor is Personal Protection outside the home, not inside, outside the home. And it does kind of say it in here. Personal must additionally be both NRA Pistol Instructor certified and Personal Protection inside the home instructor certified. What they don't really say is if you get outside the home instructor certified, you've already got those 2 anyway, because that's the outside the home, as I just said, is the last step in the 3-series sequence. So we're at the NRA Instructor website. This is the class information for personal protection outside the home. As you can see, here's the prerequisites. In Northern California, it's $375 for the class. You can go through Carl Nelson, KN CFT. I personally recommend that guy. That's who I went through my most recent pistol instructor for. It was like a year or 2 ago. Heck of a nice dude. Very good at what he does. I highly recommend that guy. But for personal protection, you're going to need to do inside the home. Boom, right here. All right, let's go to personal protection inside the home. Hey, guess what? The prerequisite for this is you have to first be Basic Pistol Instructor certified. Okay, so personal protection is $400, $100 additional deposit, and guess what? Homie Carl is still doing it in the Roseville area. All right, so let's look at Pistol Instructor. Good news, there's no prerequisite for NRA Basic Pistol because it's a Basic Pistol Instructor course. It's $400, and the homie still does it up here in NorCal. So let's say we take all of our prerequisites through this one gentleman. So we're looking at 4, 800, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost. So let's say with travel, expenses, food, depending on where you're coming from, $1,200 to $1,500 with gas and food and blah, 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 all this, that, and the other thing. There are other instructors that will charge maybe $100 or $200 less, but they're a farther drive. So once you factor in your time and your travel, it's basically going to come out to be the same thing. So that's option 1. It costs more. It's easier to do administratively, but you're only going to be able to do CCW training. So take that for what it's worth. Option 2 is going to allow you to do CCW and BSIS training. It's a little cheaper sometimes, but it's harder to get into, so administratively. So that's the NRA Law Enforcement Handgun Instructor. This is the program I went through 10, 15 some odd years ago. They do it usually one class in California here. It's generally in Southern California. When I went through, it was at the Prado shooting range. Chino PD had sponsored it. This year they're going to be doing it, I highlighted it right here, in Palo, which is basically kind of like the San Diego-ish area. The range facility out there is absolutely gorgeous. I used to shoot police and fire games out there. It's a $150 range fee, and the course itself, I believe, is $600. As you can see here, it's the 27th through the 31st of October. That's basically a Monday through Friday, whereas the NRA Civilian Series is weekends, and you can just take them, a weekend. It's a 2-day class, but it's probably going to be spaced out between 3 to 4 months, depending on what the instructor schedule is, unless you just have all your time off work, unless you have all your money ready, and you could just bang this out in 3 separate weekends. But I'm telling you, there's no reason to rush it that much. In order to attend the NRA Law Enforcement Handgun Instructor course, this top one right up here, you do have to be a licensed armed security guard within the state of California. It also requires you to be employed. You can email them and say, hey, I'm licensed. I'm just out of work right now and I'm trying to get my training company together. Can I still attend this course? They may or may not allow you to go through. When I went through, I was not a police officer. I was a armed guard. I think I was working for Securitas at the time on an armed contract. To my knowledge, I can't remember if I got a letter from my site manager or if I signed up saying that I was military police, because I was technically in the National Guard with a 270th MP company out of Sacramento at the time. So I might have just said, hey, I'm an MP, and they went, all right, that's good enough for us. But I will say, if there's 17 slots available, there could be a decent chance you apply to get your guard and gun card, which you probably have anyway. But if you don't, that takes about 2 months to get. You apply for, you get that approved. You apply to the NRA Law Enforcement Instructor course and say, hey, I'm a licensed guard. I'm in between jobs right now. Can I still attend this course? Here's a copy of my licenses. They may or may not say yes. But if they say yes, you can then become a BSIS firearms instructor. Then you can become also a DOJ certified CCW instructor. Now, I will say on the BSIS part, as an the instructor certification and the training facility. So just because you're an instructor does not mean you can start training guards. You have to be attached to a training facility. I have my firearms instructor license for BSIS, and I have my own training facility. And I want to say the application fees for each, I think it's $500 for BSIS instructor, and I think it's $750 for a training facility. But you open yourselves up to the same class, and now you can teach 2 different demographics of customers, because my BSIS class and my CCW class are the same thing, because it's still dealing with private citizens using a firearm for self-defense. There's some administrative differences in the class, but it's the same class. I teach them both. The advantage of being able to teach to both types of students, there is more money in it, and there's more consistent money. So from a business standpoint, it's a better idea to have this. So the CCW and a BSIS armed permit are both good for 2 years, but the CCW folks only have to qualify once. Armed guards have to qualify 4 times, so that's 1 shoot every 4 to 6 months. So you're getting more return business with armed guards. All right, so you knock out your core prerequisite classes, right? However you go about it, you knock that out. You apply for your COE. Takes about 2 weeks to a month for it to process, and you will need to get another live scan. So if you went the BSIS route and you got your gun and your guard card, you will still need to live scan again. You can't double tap your live scan for your permits and your COE. Your COE is just an administrative certificate, basically, so you don't have to take another class. It's just you take your certifications from whatever instructor courses you went through, you send them up to DOJ, you fill out a form, you give them, I think, like $22, and you wait like 2 weeks to a month, and you do it all online. But it's you don't have to go out of your, you can, I literally did it in my underwear. If you're post-firearms instructor certified, you don't need a COE. So if you're coming from a law enforcement background, make sure you go through post-firearms, even if you got to pay your own way through. It's highly worth it. Go take the 40-hour course, not the 80-hour course, because DOJ doesn't care if you do the 40 versus the 80 hours, so I would just say do the 40-hour. That same instructor that you took NRA Personal Protection Outside the Home through, NRA Law Enforcement Instructor, or that BSIS instructor you went through needs to give you a course of fire and another certificate. But I don't remember what the specific course of fire was. You'd have to ask them basically what they went through, because chances are they're also a CCW instructor. So I know with certainty, if you go through the NRA Law Enforcement Instructor course, ask Dan, because Dan runs his own company out of either Turlock or Modesto. I think it's Trident. Dan's a hilarious... Ask Dan. Dan's a genius. Dan is a goat. He is a mentor. He's a wonderful dude. All right. You have all of that crap together. You fill out this form, which is attached to the DOJ website. You email all those forms in. You basically do what the application says, and it's going to take, it took me about 2 to 3 weeks. I had to resubmit twice because I think I forgot to upload my firearms training certificate, the thing I just talked about that you have to ask for, specifically after that instructor for. I forgot to upload that, so I sent all my stuff up, got denied via email. The first time they're like, hey, stupid, you forgot the rest of your forms. Like, oh, fuck, okay. Resubmitted everything, took about 2 weeks on the day, and I got approved. This is what you're going through all of that trouble for. So this is my my certification. This is the culmination of just frustration and forms and anger, and here it is. So you're going to take this plus a lot more forms, and you're going to have to start applying individually to agencies. This is specifically for San Joaquin County because I'm going through the process of that right now. Granted, I've been previously certified by San Joaquin County, so almost every county and city within California is going to have this requirement. They may ask it in either a different order, or they may ask for certain specifics here and there, but basically you will need, so not every county requires a cover letter or a mission statement or, any of that. Like Placer County didn't ask me for a cover letter, I don't think. I don't think El Dorado did, I can't recall. You're going to need a business license, you're going to need business insurance. So I have the NRA Instructor insurance. I've always had NRA Instructor insurance. I always just get the max out policy, which is like $300 a year, something like that. Complete copy of the information. So some counties will also have you print this out, fill this out, handwriting, and then scan it and email it back in. You're going to need copies of your 8-hour, your initial lesson plan, your renewal lesson plan, plus any of the the videos you use or any handouts you have. I sent them just my slideshow. So all I use is a Google slideshow. I download that to PDF, and then I upload that to my emails. Then you're going to need a copy of a written exam with the answers, any of the additional firearms instructors you plan. So if it's just you, you don't have to worry about that. I still train with my homie Garrett. I'm never going to give him up. That's my boo. And obviously, you're going to need to send them your prerequisites. So some counties will either ask for just your DOJ CCW instructor certificate and your COE, or they're going to ask for DOJ, COE, and whatever your initially qualifying prerequisite is. So for me, it's my BSIS firearms instructor certificate. Some counties want that. Some counties don't care because they know that in order to get your DOJ CCW instructor certification, you have to have a prerequisite. So they just assume DOJ did their job. Sometimes they don't care. Sometimes you're like, yo, send us everything. El Dorado County wanted a copy of the front of my driver's license and a resume. They get pretty specific sometimes. You're going to have to list, like, all this other stuff in here. If the county does not have a specific course of fire, like Placer County, I think that I was like this. Placer County, I want to say, didn't have a specific course of fire, so they wanted to know what course of fire I was using. So I just I extracted one of the pages from the range page from the firearms training manual for BSIS, and then I uploaded that as my default course of fire that I use, because it's already a state-approved course of fire. It's not just something I'm making up. Some counties do not have an approved vendor list. Generally speaking, if you navigate that city or county's website for their CCW section and they don't have a list of pre-approved instructors, there's a solid chance, like Sacramento, that you don't have to apply for approval. You can just sort of do it. But your students are going to have to send usually a copy of your CCW instructor cert through DOJ. So just to confirm, and just for the sake of this video, I asked him, I said, hey, do I need to submit my lesson plan and, blah, blah, blah to you guys for a CCW approval? Couldn't find it on the website. And they said, nah. Just send us a copy of your DOJ CCW certificate along with your contact information for future contact information. Have a good day. Ta-da! So you can just send it to them, and sometimes they will also ask your students for a copy of it as well. So what I do is I have a QR code in my class that goes to a Google folder or on a Google Drive, and it has a copy of my COE and my DOJ CCW stuff, and like basically anything that that agency would ask for in addition. I just have a copy of it up there so my students can download it, upload it, re-upload it, and send it up. That's basically in a nutshell. And after that, I hope you know how to market yourself. But as far as becoming an instructor and then being an instructor for certain counties and cities, that's the gist of it. Anyone that says anything's more specific is probably just trying to make content for content's sake. If you got any questions, throw it in the comments. Love you guys. I hope you do great things and make money.